I'm Christina Onnested. NATO declared Russia the most significant and direct threat to its members' peace and security. It comes as the military alliance met today to confront what NATO's chief called the biggest security crisis since World War II. It also promised to step up political and practical support to Ukraine as it fights off Russia's invasion. U.S. President Joe Biden is vowing to beef up its military presence in Europe for the long haul, including establishing a permanent headquarters in Poland, 2 additional F-35 fighter jet squadrons for the United Kingdom, and more air defense and other capabilities for Germany and Italy.
Together, our allies, we're going to make sure that NATO is ready to meet threats from all directions across every domain, land, air, and the sea. In a moment when Putin has shattered peace in Europe and attacked the very tenets of rule-based order, the United States and our allies, we're going to step up. We're stepping up. We're proving that NATO is more needed now than it ever has been, and it's as important as it ever has been.
The war has already triggered an increase in NATO's forces in Eastern Europe, the largest since the Cold War. Allies are expected to approve a massive troop increase from 40,000 to 300,000 troops by next year. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky reiterated Russia as a terrorist state, this time during an address before the United Nations, which held a moment of silence for the 18 lives lost in a Russian missile strike that hit a mall this week, also injuring dozens more. Russia also partook in the moment of silence. Its ambassador to the United Nations said Russia was targeting an arms depot. Former President Donald Trump knew protesters with guns were at his rally on January 6, 2020, and didn't want the Secret Service to take them away ahead of the deadly Capitol siege, according to testimony from a former White House aide to the then president's chief of staff, Mark Meadows. The January 6 committee held a surprise hearing just days after announcing hearings would resume next month. Christopher Martinez has more.
Trump White House insider Cassidy Hutchinson painted a dramatic picture of events. Trump had made no secret of his plan to march with the crowd from the rally to the Capitol, where lawmakers were counting electoral votes. But that alarmed some White House insiders, like White House counsel Pat Cipollone.
Mr. Cipollone said something to the effect of, "Please make sure we don't go up to the Capitol, Cassidy." In the days leading up to the 6th, we had conversations about potentially obstructing justice or defrauding the electoral count.
On the morning of January 6th, Hutchinson says Trump was informed that some of his supporters had their weapons confiscated. Later at the rally, she says Trump was disappointed with the size of the crowd and upset about the magnetometers, or mags. Those are metal detectors the Secret Service uses to screen for weapons.
I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in. Take the effing mags away.
Hutchinson was backstage while Trump spoke to the crowd, telling them he would march with them to the Capitol. But in the end, Secret Service decided that was too dangerous.
The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president. Take me up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Renato had recounted this story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
Reporting for Pacifica Radio News KPFA, I'm Christopher Martinez.
Efforts to identify the 51 dead migrants found in a tractor-trailer Monday night on the outskirts of San Antonio continue. 16 others, including children, were hospitalized. Ruben Minuti with the Mexican consulate visited those in the hospital. His comments were translated by Al Jazeera.
In general, medical staff at the hospitals I insist, in general, have indicated those injured are in a critical condition suffering from neurological, renal, and hepatic failure, as well as internal bleeding.
Bodies without identification documents, remote villages without phone service, and the need to share fingerprint data across borders and even stolen IDs are complicating efforts to identify the dead. Residents in San Antonio gathered at the site of the truck to call for immigration reforms yesterday. Activists, along with some Democrats, slammed the Trump-era Title 42 policy that bars migration into the U.S. under the guise of a health order due to the pandemic. Ghislaine Maxwell has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for helping the wealthy financier Jeffrey Epstein sexually abuse teenage girls. The sentencing Tuesday was a culmination of a prosecution that detailed how Epstein and Maxwell flaunted their riches and associations with prominent people to groom vulnerable girls and then exploit them. Those crimes occurred as the couple hobnobbed with some of the world's most famous and wealthy people, including Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and England's Prince Andrew. Epstein reportedly killed himself in jail while awaiting trial. Maxwell blamed the abuse on Epstein and said meeting him was the greatest regret of her life. President Joe Biden's top health official said Tuesday every option is on the table when it comes to helping women access abortion in the wake of the Supreme Court decision overturning abortion rights, Roe v. Wade. But he said there's no magic bullet to ensure abortion access. He said the administration would work to ensure medication abortions remain available, that patient privacy is preserved, and family planning care like emergency contraceptive is protected. South Dakota's governor has pledged to ban prescription abortion pills. A federal court has allowed Tennessee's ban on abortion as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy to take effect. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.